Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video, and we've got to talk about my Oklahoma City Thunder because they're having an opening 24 hours to free agency that is maybe the best I could have possibly imagined. They're hitting home run after home run, continuous success. I am ecstatic right now. People are freaking out on my timeline and Thunder Twitter. Let's talk about it. So it started off last night, 3:30 a.m. Eastern time, roughly, when Paul George leaves the Los Angeles Clippers for the Philadelphia 76ers 4-year, $200 million deal. Y'all know that already. I talked about that really in depth in my full first day of free agency recap video, so if you want to see my thoughts, go check that out. But basically, that's big for the Thunder because they have not only one, but three draft assets from the Clippers in the next 3 years, a couple of pick swaps, an unprotected first-round pick. I believe that one's next year. And the Clippers are seemingly falling apart. Like, they've still got Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, they signed Derrick Jones Jr. I still think they're a fine team, but losing Paul George is a massive blow to a team that was already middle of the pack in the Western Conference at the end of the season. Now, with a better Western Conference coming into next year and injury issues with the Clippers, there's a real chance the Thunder get a massive draft asset from at least one, if not multiple, of those picks. It's an incredible moment for the Thunder in terms of that Gilgeous-Alexander, Paul George deal they made years ago. And those picks, not only are they valuable in trying to get future players, but also if you want to use them as trade capital, they are now more valuable than ever. So that was huge. And then this morning, after I slept for about 2 hours, I put up a video at like 6 a.m. Eastern. I woke up, just happened to around 8 a.m. And I see on my phone that not only did the Thunder bring back Aaron Wiggins, but also Isaiah Joe, two staples of this rotation on incredibly team-friendly deals. Isaiah Joe, 4 years, $48 million. Great signing. $12 million a year for a sharpshooter in today's NBA is an amazing price point to get Isaiah Joe back on. That's huge. And then Aaron Wiggins for $47 million over 5 years. Less than $10 million a year for what Aaron Wiggins brings to the table as a great slashing wing, a knockdown shooter, a good defender, guy who can put the ball on the deck, a do-it-all wing. That's a huge steal as well. Like, bringing back those two guys were pivotal points of this offseason. The Thunder needed to retain them both as critical rotation guys. They've got them both here. They're here for the long term for the next 4 or 5 years. And having them on those cheap contracts will make bringing back Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren on their eventual massive contracts way, way easier. So that was the stuff. And then the big deal that happened that is causing me to go ahead and make this video is the Oklahoma City Thunder have landed my top guy in this year's free agency class, the guy that I wanted with Oklahoma City. It's Isaiah Hartenstein. They go ahead and they sign him. It's a 3-year, $87 million deal. So if that was just all out flat, it would be about $29 million a year. But apparently it's front loaded and that the last year isn't all guaranteed. So that's a great contract stipulation to be in with the Thunder. But yeah, they get Isaiah Hartenstein. I don't care about the money. The Thunder had money to spend. They weren't going to do anything else with it. You've got big issues in the front court. You need size. You need rebounding. Just more versatility at the center spot next to or behind Chet Holmgren. There's a lot of questions about how the lineup can go, and we can talk about those. But Hartenstein was the big fish. And yesterday, a report came out that Sam Presti and the Thunder traveled to Oregon, where Isaiah Hartenstein lives, to talk with him to go over the contract. Basically said, we want you here. They were aggressive. I saw someone say that apparently they offered him a smaller deal. He said no. So they worked throughout the night to give him this bigger contract to steal him away from the Knicks, where he was arguably their second most valuable player at times throughout that playoff run that they had. He was huge for them defensively, on offense too, stepping up in the absence of Mitchell Robinson, playing heavy minutes. Ihart is really, really good. He really just is going to revolutionize what the Thunder do. Let me explain. First of all, obviously, the rebounding was an issue with the Thunder last year. They had a lot of problems on the offensive glass. Hartenstein averaged over 3 offensive rebounds per game, and I believe he had the second highest offensive rebounding rate, only behind Clint Capella last season. So you want to talk about getting better on the boards. The Thunder added one of the best offensive rebounders in the entire league, also a menace on the defensive boards too. Gives you size down low regardless for the box outs to get other guys rebounds. That's huge. Also, just even on the interior, gives you a guy that has a lot of touch around the rim, that push shot that he loves to go to. I feel like he's never missed it. At least I don't know if I've ever seen it. It just feels so reliable. His touch there is amazing. Also just under the basket, of course, can go up there and dunk. He is a legitimate 7-foot level guy. He's got a lot of size too. Like, he is physical. So you now add some of that presence, that big punch to that Oklahoma City front court, which is big, going up against guys in the Western Conference like Nikola Jokic and Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, these guys that are bruisers. Iheart gives you a guy you can throw at those guys in addition to Chet Holmgren. Also, the minutes without Chet last year in the playoffs were abysmal. The Thunder, that's one of the big reasons they lost in the playoffs, was because when Chet left the floor, we really didn't have an answer down low. Now Hartenstein comes in as one of the best defensive bigs in the league according to defensive EPM. He was top 5 last year. In fact, the Thunder now have 5 guys that were top 50 in defensive EPM last year, which only the Celtics have. They can also say that they have those types of guys, so that showcases the defensive versatility on this Thunder team, in addition to the Caruso acquisition, which only levels this team up even more between him and Lou Dort and Chet and Shea and Dub and Isaiah Hartenstein, Case and Wallace. The Thunder really don't have any weak links on this team defensively amongst guys that are going to play heavily in the rotation, play heavy minutes. So that's a big plus. And then on offense, Iheart isn't exactly a stretch big. Now, he has shot threes at a pretty good rate before, so I wouldn't be surprised if he steps out behind the arc a little bit more here with Oklahoma City to better match that scheme. I'm not expecting him to shoot like a ton of threes or anything, but I would be surprised if we don't see a few here and there, which also adds his ability to play next to Chet Holmgren if you want to do that. Right now I'm picturing that he still comes off the bench, and you might be saying that's a lot of money to pay a 6-man. It's a 6-man that fixes all of our biggest issues, and he can still close with Chet. He doesn't have to start with him. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, he isn't really a stretch big necessarily, but he can shoot that shot, and then he just provides so much value in the mid-range, working out the high post off the short roll around the elbow as a hub passer. His passing last year with New York is something that I think goes really under the radar. He's great at hitting guys on cuts, at running dribble handoffs. He's going to be great rolling to the rim on pick and rolls. The Thunder needed a big body guy that could go out there and screen at a high level. That's what Hartenstein can do too. The amount of wide open looks that Shea and Dub are going to get off of Hartenstein screens, it's enormous. It's going to be a massive improvement. It's going to make their lives way easier. They don't have to work as hard for shots, because the Thunder had to work really hard for a lot of their buckets last year, especially in the playoffs when things slowed down. Iheart screening and physicality is going to open that up a lot, just moving guys out of the way to give our guards and really just anybody on the roster a way easier time at scoring. Not to mention, he's also great at when he grabs those offensive rebounds, passing and finding the open guy to either reset the possession, or if there's somebody cutting, there's still a good look to go ahead and be had. Hartenstein is great at finding those players. The numbers don't look insane off of the stat sheet, but I'm telling you, the impact is ridiculous with Hartenstein. There's a reason he was my number 1 target for the Thunder this offseason, and they got him. The Thunder don't usually get big name free agents. This is the biggest free agency signing the Thunder have ever made. I don't think that's even close at this point. Like, I think before this was probably Isaiah Joe, which again, shout out to him for getting the bag, but Iheart was like the guy on the market. The Knicks, the New York Knicks in New York City, were trying to keep him, and the Thunder were able to pry him away. And sure, it's because they threw him a decent bit more money, but also because he bought into what the Thunder were doing. He said, this is a spot where I can not only make a bunch of money, but I can still compete for a championship. And with the addition of Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso, the Thunder have upgraded some of their biggest concerns, which is having another guard that can put the ball on the deck, fixing some of the defensive issues and the lineup issues in general that existed with Giddey in the playoffs. They fixed that with the Caruso addition. And then adding Isaiah Hartenstein fixes the rebounding. It adds more size. The Thunder have fixed 2 of their biggest issues in the beginning era of free agency, the beginning of this offseason. They still have room they could work with. Like, they still have $8 million with I believe a taxpayer exception or a room exception. They've got still $8 million they can go ahead and throw out there. They didn't have to give up any picks to make these acquisitions happen either. Like, they still have their war chest of draft capital, really good tradable contracts if they want to go after like a Lauri Markkanen, if he's available somehow. If you even go after just like a Cam Johnson, just someone to more shore up the team. You can still add more 3-point shooting if you want to, although the Thunder are a knockdown squad. But if you want to add more reliable volume 3-point shooting, there's avenues to do that. The Thunder are in an unbelievable spot. They arguably could be the favorites going into the Western Conference playoffs next year. Like, they could be the favorites to win the West. I wouldn't be surprised if they were. They were the 1 seed. They've got experience. They got better. They fixed like all their issues. They've still got ways to improve this team throughout the season, throughout the rest of the offseason. It's crazy how good of a job Sam Presti has done at building up this roster, putting the Thunder in the best possible spot. I cannot believe this is where the Thunder are. Like, this is a legitimate championship contender next season. There's no doubt about that. I felt like they already were, and they got infinitely better this offseason. I'm stoked. If you couldn't tell how excited I am, this is crazy. like, this was my dream offseason, was going out there and adding iHeart. You know, a guy like Caruso made a ton of sense. I like the draft we had too. I didn't get to talk about it too much, but I love the additions of Dylan Jones, Nikola Topic, and AJ Mitchell to this team. I could see Dylan Jones being a contributor from day one. AJ Mitchell is a really fun guard to have, probably going to the G League. He's going to be on a two-way deal. And then Nikola Topic coming in next year as a upsized ball handler that I believe can be a big addition to the bench and is a lot better than people are giving him credit for. Before the ACL injury, he was considered a top 3-4 pick in this draft. Like, surely it was a lock. That's crazy value to get at pick 12. The Thunder have just, I can't believe how great of an offseason they've had already. It's insane. I'm super excited. I'm running off like 1 hour of sleep. I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep for the rest of the day. I can't. I mean, I'm too hype about all these moves. But yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, just my initial thoughts. And this is all, of course, in addition to Gilgeous-Alexander, a top 5 player in the world, Jalen Williams, a rising all-star level guy, Chet Holmgren, who had one of the best rookie seasons we've seen in a really long time. He's a rising all-star level player too. Wings all over the place, shooters, defenders. The coach of the year in Mark Daigneault. The Thunder are loaded. This team is stacked, arguably the favorites in the Western Conference. When we get to my season prediction video, by the end of the summer, we're going to have some conversations, and don't let the Thunder get like a Lauri Markkanen or make any other additions, because I'm going to be insufferable over here on the channel and just on Twitter in general. I am really excited. I've said that 50 times. Sorry, I'm rambling at this point. Let me go ahead and wrap up the video. I love this offseason so far from the Thunder. Let me know what you think down below in the comments about the Isaiah Hartenstein signing, about the Caruso trade, about the draft. How do you feel about the Thunder? Do you think they could be the favorites in the Western Conference? Do you think it's still a little bit too early to tell? Where would you place them at the moment without any moves being made? What other additions would you like to see the Thunder go ahead and put into action? Yeah, I appreciate you watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. The Thunder have never been more back. They've never been more back. I appreciate y'all. I will see you all later. Real one, say back.